Well, here we are again, part 2 of another day, another 2 alterations. And please forgive the sound of the dryer in the background, but you know, chores must happen while I'm working. Yeah, so I tore the kilts down, lining out, canvas out, top band off. Looks like I might be able to restore the top bands. I started on this one. I was waiting on a client, and I got to a certain stage of this one, and then the client knocked on the door, so I put it aside. So it's a bit annoying because I have to let this out 4 inches. Right now, let's put that apron in place. Yeah. This one's at 41. We have to increase it to, or 40. We have to increase it to 44. Now, as I'd mentioned, there's 2 extra pleats on this side, which I can rob to create, or to release, make available enough extra cloth so that I can have the properly widened inside apron with a deep pleat. A little more of a problem on the front apron, because you can see there's the front apron. Now, when I initially looked at it, I thought that I was going to find what we usually see in a properly made kilt. Imagine this is this edge here. You fold it over like this to create that extra thick panel to give it a bit of weight on the side. But what we have here, and I've encountered it before, is this very narrow with a extra piece sewn under it to give the extra richness, as it were, of the fringe. So where I expected to have a full hand's breadth, 8.5 inches or so of cloth, I've got about 4. Right. Okay. So, and again, very little extra cloth here. Now, I'm already robbing 2 pleats to bring these pleats to match, but it looks like I'm going to have to rob another pleat on this side to have that extra cloth. And then I went back and took a look at the pleats again, and things even get more confusing and disappointing because, again, our outside pleats are different. We have to rob 2 pleats before these are the same. But we go to the middle, and this middle feature, this red line, isn't centered on the pleat, it's to one side. So starting with that middle pleat, I can quickly see that the pleats radiating out from it are not, they're not symmetric at all. So you can see the middle here. This has the blue line centered. This has the green line to one side. Those aren't the same, right? So starting from that, none of these pleats match each other. It's only if I take this center seam as being the center back of the kilt, so that the red line is at the center. If I treat these 2 pleats as one pleat, then, well, things are a little bit better. I mean, this is centered on the blue line. The blue line's mostly over to one side there. The black line is off center here. It's right at the edge there. That at least is the same. That doesn't match. These match, but where they should be book matched, if this red line is off to one side here, it should be off to the other side here, and it's not. These are sort of almost like negative images of each other. Yes, that at least is right. We get out again there. That doesn't match, right? So, and there's nothing I can do about this to correct it because the back has already been cut out. So I'm just going to have to work with this and possibly take 3 pleats off of this side. So yeah, 3 pleats off of this side, and at least one off of this side. But I reached that part, and then I just looked at how this had been done. And if the person was standing in front of me, I'd say, well done. How long have you been sewing kilts with your feet? Because this, yeah, still E for effort, you know. And the gentleman's greatly attached to his kilt, so I'm not gonna slag it in front to his face. But let's. This is very much the stuff from the it belongs in the Sauzier Chronicles. We will return to this kilt later, but I'm gonna switch off to an easier job, relatively easier job, which is the second kilt, also made by that same person. I'm no longer using the word kilt maker because I'm mean. And the slightly different thing happened here on the outside of the apron is that, remember, the other one had a very narrow fold over. This one's pretty wide and is of decent depth. What I am thankful for is this edge is a straight line, that it isn't cut as a curve, which I see so often. So they did that, and then they added this sort of cheater piece underneath. So I can work with this, I believe. So on the outer apron side, I robbed one pleat, still not enough cloth. I robbed a second pleat. Wrong, I robbed one pleat. This is the second pleat here. I robbed one pleat, really not quite enough cloth. Robbed a second pleat, which has the advantage of taking us past this buttonhole, because it's well done, but unfortunately it isn't really rebuildable. It's not easily rebuildable. So by robbing this second pleat, there's a couple of knots there which are going to take a bit of work to get out. By robbing the second pleat, I can put the buttonhole here. I may have to graft on a bit of cloth. There might be enough cloth, but might not be enough cloth, so I may have to put on a graft in there. Yeah, so I've robbed 2 pleats, which means that I can now increase this to the 26 inches it needs to be, which is represented by these chalk lines. So having pressed it flat, if I bring this to there, once again, because the set, it's a huge set. The set is 14 and a half inch set. That by robbing those pleats, I can get the apron as wide as it needs to be. I'm going to have to get quite creative here, but tune in. I'll show you how we solve that problem later on in the series. So we're going to have the requisite width. We're going to have a deep pleat, which is possibly a little too deep, but I think I'll take a page from this person's work. And of course, it's really difficult to see anything and see the potential here. But rather than have that deep pleat going to the center, I might turn it into a box. In fact, I will turn it into a box pleat in the manner that this person has showed us, to reduce the depth of the apron pleat to between 1/4 and 1/3, which are our preferences. Now on the other end, this was machine sewn, and it was beautifully done with rather strong thread. So it was a bit painstaking and a bit anxiety producing to unpick these seams without damaging the cloth. But there's our original apron, and again I've robbed 1, 2, 3 pleats on this side, but this again will allow me to have a inside apron of the right width, correct width, of nearly the optimum amount of extra cloth on the end, about a handspan, and a properly deep, because there's our center, a proper deep pleat. Yeah, good. Okay, this I'm going to concentrate on this one because the other one's a bit frustrating and upsetting, but I'm going to bash away on this one, and then after I've completed this one, I'll turn back to that other thing. So the next stage for me to take here is to get this on the ironing table and press out all of these pleats. And then having done so, we can start making it up into the new kilt. There we go. Talk to you later.